There we go. Okay.
Welcome to the Poor Rex. We talk about stuff.
Being us.
Jeremy doesn't like the intro song, but I do. Da 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 da. Nope. I
No.
did it wrong. It's supposed to be the Poor Rex. Da 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 da. Poor.
And it's not that I don't like it. So I was really enjoying our conversation earlier when the food came and interrupted us.
Yeah.
And I was remembering something. So I was thinking, I was like, I know I wanted to say something. But so I was talking about how I had lost my mind.
Oh yeah.
And so the only difference now that I've started to get into the past, I don't know, it seems like days, but it could be longer. But the only difference now is I'm still completely hopeless and drowning in sorrow,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not consumed in anger right now.
Ooh.
And that does change things a little bit.
Yes.
But it still sucks.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that being like, because I was consumed by anger. That's what I mean. I didn't even realize it. Like, because I knew how I was, and the way I was thinking, and everything was just horrible. But I couldn't stop it. I just could not stop it. I don't remember if I told you I had this dream. I had this dream where, I don't know if I told you this. I posted it on Facebook, but I might have told you too. I had a dream where I can't remember exactly how it went, but Satan was coming after me or something, and for me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna kick your ass then, and then I turned into Satan. And I woke up from that and I was like, holy shit. I thought that was a very like that was kind of a vision of my own being consumed in anger thing,
Mm-hmm.
like or something, right? It was nuts. It was nuts. It scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not normally scared of the devil, but I don't want to become the devil. Like I was just like, oh my gosh. That was nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, Satan isn't real, so you can't become him.
No, that's a stupid thing. It's like saying evil isn't real.
We watched a whole video. Well, you watched half a video essay about it. I watched the whole thing.
No, that was not about that. He's just talking about a translation, a poor translation. It doesn't mean evil isn't real, and it doesn't mean there isn't like an embodiment of evil. I call it right now America. So, no, I mean, I don't know. That's not evil is a real thing.
I think the last time I had a dream about Satan, I was in junior high, and I was at a movie theater. It was like a movie theater like in Greece where there's swings for some reason. And I was on the swings at the movie theater.
Well, so the swings are awesome.
That was the last time I had a dream about Satan. But I've had scary dreams. I had a lot of scary dreams when I was agoraphobic.
Well, I mean, I've had dreams of demons and stuff, but I never. Not. I mean, I might have had other dreams of Satan too, but I never had a dream that I remember ever where I became Satan. Like, I was like, holy crap! It was just such a perfect representation of how I would been acting, and mentally too.
Yeah.
Like, not because I wasn't really acting; I was posting things,
Yeah.
but saying the
Very not nice things.
yes,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I feel perfectly justified. But I did lose my mind, like
Yeah.
I did. That was pretty horrible. So it's kind of weird because um it still sucks really bad being hopeless and wanting to die, kind of, but it's better than being consumed in anger.
It's kind of like
It's such a trick.
if like you lost like all four limbs and then one leg grew back, you'd be like, well, better than not having
That's nice.
both arms and both legs.
Maybe, I don't know, man. My gosh, no, it's pretty crazy. I don't even remember why. The only reason I thought of that was because it was something I was talking about where I don't remember why I brought it up, but I was saying, do you remember how I went insane or whatever? And I
Hmm.
was gonna, and that's exactly just what I wanted to say. Where like, so yeah, I'm a little bit better. That's nice.
I used to be angry all the time,
That's
like
yeah,
angry and scared all the
constantly
time
every
and
second.
hopeless, and then I got on the Paxil, and now I'm not.
Well,
It's not that I don't get angry or I
mm,
don't get scared, but it's just not like it's not a 24-hour thing, you know?
man,
Like, I used to be lucky if I'd go an hour or two, like, feeling okay. So, that's why I don't begrudge the alcohol, because I know that you need something to help.
well, it's funny now you do. Now you're like that, but I remember when you'd be so against even smoking weed. You
And
were
then, I,
so like,
and then I
no
started
drugs,
smoking weeds, and
no
I was like,
drugs.
oh, it's not that bad. I could quit
Yeah,
anytime I want.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Actually, I did quit. Well, I quit because I was on the antidepressants. Also, like, coming down off weed is not pleasant.
Well, not every high is good either. Some
That's
highs suck.
true.
Yeah,
I
some
think I
highs
had
actually
one good
suck.
high, and I've done weed like 4 times.
Yeah. I remember I was talking to Jesse about it when I went. I want to go hang out with him again, man. I didn't realize he told me we're gonna hang out again, whatever. And I didn't realize he meant like in another year or two or 5 or 10 or whatever. I thought he
I
meant
don't
like
think you
soon.
meant that. Yeah.
but we were, I was talking to him about it, and I was like, because I think we were talking about like what kinds of drugs we had tried and stuff, and I said just coke and nos, that's the only other things, and that was many years ago.
What's NOS?
Nitrous oxide.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and I said, just trying those two made me go, you know what? I just need weed, like straight up, and they're of course not exactly the same,
Hmm.
but the other highs, yeah, I told him that when I tried cocaine, it didn't last long, like 30 seconds.
Oh,
When I
really?
would snort a line in just 30 seconds, and he
Uh-huh.
goes, "Oh, you didn't have good stuff." I
It's
was like,
probably a good thing, or you'd be addicted to
right?
heroin right now.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But and so part of that was that too. Like, and then Nos was like between a 10-second and 30-second high as well,
Mm,
really quick and
that's
whatever.
why people get lots of them, right?
I guess with Eric, the reason we stopped doing it, I tried it with Eric because he wanted to try it out, and I would have gotten into that too a whole lot more, but he didn't want to do it anymore because he said the thing about Nos is it'll destroy your brain
Hmm.
really quickly, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that. So then I'm like, well, why the hell are we trying in the first place? But it was good though. It was cool. Like I enjoyed it. Uh, but so those two things, just trying that made me go, I'll be fine with the weed, whatever. I don't care. Weed's cool.
Yeah, no, the loves cocaine. I mean, not currently, but like just in general.
Mm.
He was like, I had to stop doing it because I liked it too much.
Well, I like the highs, but at the same time, if I have a good weed high, it's just as good as that to me, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I never like I didn't do the weed. That's the only drug I've done, like
The
aside from
weed.
prescriptions. But I only did the weed like a handful of times, so not enough to like get a grip on like how much I can have or what
Mm-hmm.
kind
Yeah.
or whatever. So I only had like one good high, and and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like for me, when I come down off it, I get so low,
Mm.
and I just it takes me so long to recover. And I was telling my friend Liz, I was telling her like that's why people never talk about coming off of weed because they just don't stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. You remember when I was a teenager in my
Yeah.
room, I was smoking the homemade bong from I think it was a Subway soda or some shit. There was like their plastic cup, and it had Eric helped me make that. It was pretty awesome. Uh, but yeah, there was like I think it was 5 or 6 years where there was a point, literally at least 5 full years, every single if I was awake, I was smoking. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, all day,
I
nonstop,
can't
every day.
imagine doing
It
that.
was pretty, yeah.
So the thing about like being drunk or high for me is that like it does help you relax,
Mhm.
but
It can also screw you up.
it
It
doesn't let
can.
me think. Like it doesn't, which is good if you don't want to think, especially if you're thinking bad things, right? You just want to stop thinking. But like just in general, like I can't imagine like being functional
Mm.
on weed, like just going through
I think it depends
a
on what
day
you
trying to be
need to
smart.
do or whatever.
Especially
Yeah.
because like Paxil, just the Paxil by itself has made me dumb. Like, it's made me worse at math. I was never great at it. It's
Really?
worse.
Is that not just because you're out of practice? I mean, how often do you use math? You
No,
know,
but just like basic math.
I
Like,
don't.
it
I
just
don't know
takes more.
basic math
It's not that
anymore.
I can't do
I use
it.
a calculator to do fucking 2 + 7. Well, not quite that, but
I
you
just
know.
I know what my functions are. I know what I'm
Mm,
good. Like, I know what I can do like instantly, and I know what takes more effort. And
mm,
like things, thoughts, and like thinking like about more intricate things takes a lot more effort than it used to. And
mm.
I noticed it pretty much immediately, but I just thought it would like fade away over time, and it just doesn't. It's like that cushion, like we were talking about, like just not having that emotional like barrier between you and the world, so just everything just feels so
Oh,
immediate all the time.
yeah.
So like
I mean, that's been normal to me my whole life.
not for me. Like I've just like exposed to nerve endings
Mm,
on a normal day. So that's why like crying to me like was a daily thing.
mm.
Like regardless of like what was happening that day, if it
Yeah.
was a good day or a bad day, I would cry at some point.
So
Uh,
that's what I've been going through for the past long time.
yeah, that was normal for me, and I like it got weird to realize like I rarely cry anymore. Like I cried
Mm.
at a movie a couple of days ago. Oh no, it was last night. I was watching American Gods, and there was a really sad part,
Mm.
and it made me cry. And it wasn't just because it was sad; it was because the main character, Shadow, they were showing him as a teenager, and he was so sweet. Like in the present, he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's just a guy. Um, but in the past, they just show him with his mom, and he's just oh, what a
It's
sweetheart.
funny you say that because in the first episode, I got the idea that he used to be a really sweet, like innocent, kind person, kind of a thing. It's just there's something about him, the way his
Yeah.
mannerism or whatever. Even though he doesn't act that way right now, like it's
Hmm.
his quietness, not just not angry quiet, calm quiet, like at
Yeah.
peace kind of quiet. Even though you don't want to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it's
He
interesting.
can
Yeah.
punch.
I think the actor does a really good job on that
He
because that's not
does.
like that's you can tell, you can see it. Like
Yeah.
it's very well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've seen him in other stuff, but I never saw him. I never got that range of emotions from him before. If I can't remember him, right? Like I can't remember what
Yeah.
else he's in. I know I've seen him somewhere else, but
Yeah.
I've never seen him like that, you know?
Honestly, you don't get a lot of characters like this, especially
Mm.
for black dudes, like where it's you get to be gentle and punch
Well,
people real good.
I think I don't know if it's so true that you don't get characters like that. It could be, but I mean, to me, it's more the actors matter. You know, that's why I hate typecasting. I hate it so much. I'm like,
So
you
there's
know, this
something.
actor can be so many different roles. Like Nicolas Cage is an amazing actor. Everybody
Yeah.
shits on him all the time. He's a really good actor. He's so fucking good. And they always put him in like the same stupid crap or what,
Crazy.
you know. And
Yeah.
he doesn't ever actually really act anymore, you
Yeah.
know, because they just like here just be Nick Cage.
Yeah.
But he's a really good freaking actor.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean this character is very unusual.
Hmm.
Like he's not a thug. He's a criminal, but he's not like a I didn't even realize until this episode that he grew up in France. Like
Well, see, I remember I only seen the first
yeah.
episode.
But I'm like in the second season
Mhm.
or yeah, I think I'm in the second season and I never realized that was how he grew up. He grew up in France and his mom was a hippie and she wasn't French, she was American, but she raised him like all over the
Mm.
world basically. They traveled a
Oh,
lot.
cool.
And
Rich bastards.
yeah, and he just gets to be. So they show him when he gets to America, and these black kids are calling him white boy because he talks
Really?
weird or whatever.
Okay.
He doesn't talk weird.
And I'm definitely gonna be watching that more or up my list. You know,
Yeah,
whatever.
but they're just like beating him up, and then his mom's just explaining they want the same thing you want, which is to be seen and to be respected and to be
Mm.
loved. And he's like, but I didn't do anything to them, and because he's running from these kids, these gangster kids who are trying to beat him up, and then the cops come out of nowhere and slam him against a wall. So he's getting it from both sides. And she's just like, the cops and the kids, they all want the same thing that you want. And he's just like, you think he's gonna be like rebellious and be like, whatever, man, like if they want to fight, I'm gonna fight them. But he just ends up being sad about it, and it's just, oh, it hurts. It hurts. And then he just hugs his mom. Oh, he's so sweet. He's such a he's such a sweet character, and you don't realize it because in the first episode he gets hired as a bodyguard. Well, he gets out of jail and then he gets hired as a bodyguard. So in the first episode he's punching a leprechaun. You know
he's already a tough guy. Yeah, the leprechaun. That was funny. The leprechaun, really tall redhead guy.
So you don't think like, oh, this is a real sweet guy. Like you don't get into that until later.
Well, no, like I said, you could that calm quietness. Like,
well, and he definitely has that in regard to
that
his wife.
He's not just an asshole. Like
he loves his wife, and then
it's a trip because he looks like you would not want to mess with this guy.
Well, he's very tall and he's got muscles. I wouldn't want to mess with anybody like that either.
He's very menacing looking.
Is he?
Kind of. Maybe
I would say imposing.
You know what? I think it might just be imposing. Yeah. I think it's also. I think mostly just the idea of knowing that he came out of prison, so obviously something happened there. You know, and then being a tough badass. But no, that's what makes him so cool though. Like because he's. I mean, most of the time tough characters are just assholes. Yeah,
or they only have one mode, which is punch, right? Just punch, go into punch mode, and then be normal. And he doesn't. He has lots of modes.
The actual person.
He's and like he didn't seem like much at the beginning, but what I like about the show, that must be you because I don't think I have my sound.
No, that's yours.
Oh,
mine does not make that chime.
Grandpa wants to know if our food was good.
Tell him it's always delivered cold, you fuckers.
It was hot tonight.
No, it's cold.
Again, you wait a lot longer to eat it than I do.
We both came into my room at the same time and ate food.
Nah.
Yeah.
You don't realize how long it takes you to actually like sit down and eat.
We were both eating it, so whatever. You just defend Grubhub for no reason.
But I was like halfway through my food before you took your first bite. And we let it sit on the porch for 2 minutes while we were talking.
Oh, that's so true. I must have no wonder. Oh my goodness. In this freezing cold weather.
Shut up. What were you talking about?
This shows. I don't even know how we got into that.
He's just a good sweet. Oh, that's because I was crying because
they're
going back and forth between like something hard that he's going through in the present day to his memories of him and his mom, and just oh god, I can't even. I'll just start crying again.
Does the pace quicken or whatever? Because it's really slow. The first episode felt like a 3-hour fucking episode.
Right.
It was good. I liked it, but I
think you get accustomed to the pace. I don't know if it gets faster, but you get accustomed to kind of just like letting it play out.
Yeah, that's what makes me stop watching those. Like The Walking Dead is the same way. I love it, but I take long breaks from it.
Yeah. No, you just kind of like you accustom yourself to its pace, I think, because we're just so used to having everything happen one after the other. But what's nice about it is that it's not just one pace. Like sometimes it just like slow, and then a lot happens, and then like just medium, and then like it's like music, like good music. It's like the tempo changes. A good song, it doesn't sound the same all the way through.
I mean, I like. Well, for example, I mean, Sin City is kind of like that too. Do you remember the movie with Bruce Willis? The black and white, and then some red or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And that's got a lot of slow parts, but it's also I'm always interested in what's going to happen next or what's going on, because even the slow parts, there's something interesting. That's what I mean. Like there's even The Walking Dead does it where like there's all these slow-mo scenes. You know, it's just like, why is this even in slow-mo? Like, are you for fucking real? Been watching like zombies murder people all this time, and now there's some fight, and you're gonna act like this is some important special thing that zombies. Now we need to see it in slow-mo. They picked like the stupidest things to do slow-mo for, and the same thing happened in the Zack Snyder cut. I told you, right? Like, I can't remember what I said. It was like. It's even more boring than the original with 100% more slow-mo, and I forget what else I said about it.
I guess if they took it out of slow-mo, it'd be like 30 minutes.
Probably. And it's not even like I like slow-mo when it's cool, you know? But they just... everything was slow. There was actually an honest trailer for it. It was funny because I had forgotten this. I noticed it right away. It's at the beginning of the movie, but I had forgotten about it because it's such a long ass movie and whatever. But even in the beginning, Lois is like, I think I can't remember. She's mourning Superman and whatever, and there's this slow motion scene of her just holding her coffee. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that
just
doesn't
so
need to be in
ridiculous.
slow-mo.
There's so much stupid crap because they're trying to make you care and, you know, emotional, whatever. It's just nonsense.
Instead of
You know what? One thing that pisses me off. It reminds me of. You remember when we saw Crazy Stupid Love in the free preview movie thing, and that scene they removed the one where he's eating pizza and slow.
Oh, did they take that out?
Yeah, that's
That was
not
like
in
the
the
best
movie.
part
That
of
was
the
my
movie.
favorite part. I literally even told them that was the funniest part in the whole fucking movie. Because it was so perfect. Because it was like so. It was short enough to not be annoying, and it was also so hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it was so freaking like just the slow mo slice of pizza.
It's just
Like
and like cutting to him eating pizza and then cutting him again eating pizza, cutting to him again eating pizza.
it was. They removed that whole damn. I was like, no.
If anything, they should have made it longer.
No, I think they did the perfect length. That's why it was so damn funny.
I guess they must have had got a lot of like people being like, that part was stupid and boring.
Maybe, but that's what I thought was so funny about it because so many movies do slow mo poorly. You know, they pick their wrong spots, they drag it out. I think the only reason they do it in The Walking Dead now is maybe they just need to start shrinking the episodes to half an hour. Because I still like the show a lot, but I'm just like, come on. They drag stuff out so much now.
What I like on YouTube is you can like change the speed.
Oh, right.
There's this one dude on that I watch.
You can do that.
He's a DIY dude. And he talks so fast. He talks so fast like this, and the whole
You
time
slow
he
it
talks
down?
like this. I slow it down, and he
so
sounds
funny.
almost normal. Like it's a little bit like weird, but it's like basically like a normal. Like I can actually understand what he's saying because he's not talking so fast.
That's freaking funny, man. Wow. Thinking about like that show, The American Gods. I've been wanting to rewatch The Boys season 2.
Oh
Maybe we can
yeah,
watch that together.
yeah. I would watch that again.
Because I've rewatched the first season like 3 or 4 times, and I could still watch it again. But I've only seen The Boys season 2 once, I think,
Me
if I
too.
can remember.
Yeah.
And I really want to. My favorite character in that show was the one I hate the most, the evil bitch,
Oh, the Hitler
the
girl.
evil Nazi bitch. She was so great, man. Like
She's a
character
good
wise,
character,
and
yeah.
the actress, like just fucking. Wow.
I think they did a
the
good
writing
job.
is really good.
I think they did a good job making her well-rounded. Usually Nazis are just one note.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
She was very human.
There was times when she was very compassionate, very patient. She had some wisdom to offer, but she didn't have it to offer anybody but white people.
Yeah.
With them, it's just punch you in the throat until you die,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was so awful. The first time she did that, and I had seen a video essay about The Boys season 2, so I had known about that character, but I guess I had, like, completely forgotten about it. So I forgot that she was a bad guy, and I wasn't waiting for her to be a bad guy. I was just watching her, and she just hit.
It was so passive and natural. So it was good acting and it was good writing.
Yeah.
And
It felt like it came out of
great.
nowhere, even though I already knew about it. Because the way that they set it up was so
what's
good.
funny?
Like, they didn't project it all
I
over the
knew
place.
though. I knew something was wrong, right?
I knew it because she was a
right?
new character. And, like, you can never trust a new character until you get to know, like, what they do when they're alone.
No, I think for me, I just liked her too much.
No.
I was like, there has to be something wrong here, because I'm used to that now. I'm used to if I like a character too much, there's usually something wrong. It always happens every freaking time. Like if I really like a character, something goes wrong.
It's like we were watching Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man gives the glasses to that guy.
Yeah.
And as soon as he walked away, I was like, oh, I hope this guy doesn't turn out to be a bad guy. And then like 10 seconds
I knew
later,
it as soon as he was given. You know what's funny is I remember I told you this. I was questioning this because it was Far From Home. I think that one is called.
yeah.
What's the guy's name? The hood and the cloak. He's such a cool character. I never really knew much about him in the comic books, but I knew he was a villain. But I'm watching this movie. Great writing, great acting.
Mystical?
I almost. And I'm like, maybe for the movie they made him a good guy
Yeah.
because it was so well written. Like it was really good. You could totally believe
Well, and
this character.
I'd
Was
heard his
really
name
good.
before, but I didn't realize he was a
Mysterio.
bad guy. Mysterio, yeah.
Yeah.
I had heard the name Mysterio before, but I didn't know that he was a bad guy because I'm not that into comic books.
Hmm.
So, like I didn't realize. So I was like, but so I was just like, this is, because here's the thing, like he acts the same as the other good characters
Hmm. Oh yeah.
until
He's
you
very
find,
heroic.
yeah, he knows exactly how to act. Like you want to think
He's
that,
very kind and compassionate as well. When he's talking to Peter, like
yeah. Like you want to think you're gonna know that somebody's tricking you. You want to think that. We like to think that we can see people's characters, and we
that's
can't.
why evil is so good at being evil.
Yeah. They know how to they and here's the thing too, it's not even necessarily that they know how to act correctly. It's they apply all the feelings they have are just for themselves and maybe a couple of people that
Mm.
they care about. It doesn't extend out
I
to
remember.
the rest of the world.
So when I was kind of iffy. I was pretty sure. Or I was like, all right, this is where we know he's gonna be the bad guy. But at the same time, I was like, well, I don't know. I can't remember. I think I was hoping he'd be a good guy for the movie
I
for
could see
whatever
him taking
reason.
over for Tony Stark. Like
Yeah.
I legitimately could see him taking over.
Especially when he put the glasses on, he looked exactly like.
He looked great.
Yeah, he looked great. He did. He looked perfect. But that also was what made him such a good character.
Yeah.
And that whole, but also the writing really was good because like they could have had him be a really good actor, and the writing could have been pure shit.
Oh, you could have seen it a mile away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Generally, because even when he was being really nice in the beginning, I was like, I'm wondering if they're setting him up to be a bad guy. But you got to see the other characters interact with each other, and that's how they act with each other.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
They didn't just bring in a new character, make him seem nice, and then that's going to be the bad guy. 'Cause
Yeah.
you just have
He
somebody
wasn't
coming.
creepy nice. He was like
Yeah.
real nice.
Yeah, and he got to know everybody, the gang, and was
Yeah.
explaining his world and whatever. Yeah, no, it was really well done. I always think back to like I think Ben Affleck is a really good Batman. I hate those movies though.
I've never seen a Ben
Yeah.
Affleck Batman.
I like him as Batman. I think he's awesome as Batman. I don't think he's perfect. I don't know, whatever, but he's awesome. He's so good, but those movies suck so bad. And that's all writing.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. And I felt the same way about Val Kilmer as Batman
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, I
George
forgot about
Clooney.
him. Yeah.
George Clooney and Val Kilmer were both Batman, and I loved them as Batman. With Bruce Wayne and Batman, I thought they were cool, but the writing in those movies is just, ew.
It's rough. Like, it's rough for me because, like, Michael Keaton was my first Batman. So to me, he's still, like, the
Those
real
were
Batman.
well written,
Yeah.
though. Those were good movies.
Yeah.
The ones with George Clooney and Val Kilmer were not good movies. And the same thing with Ben
Val
Affleck.
Kilmer, was that the one with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman?
I don't remember. Because she could have been the one with George Clooney too. Like I hated those movies so much. I just remember the Batmans. Like I remember even Arnold Schwarzenegger was in there as Mr. Freeze.
Oh, Jim Carrey was the Question Man.
Oh, he was
the
a great
Riddler.
as Wither. He was actually Jim Carrey was great.
Yeah.
But that's
But you can't make every character that cartoony, otherwise it feels cartoony.
and it was like his character and him playing that character was actually really good. But the movie sucked. It's the same thing with Val Kilmer. Like the Batman. I liked them.
I honestly didn't mind the nipple suit. I think the nipple suit became.
I don't even remember the nipple. I just thought the
It was
movies
the
were
first
just
time
so
the bat
bad.
suit had nipples on the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It
I
was
don't
the
remember
only
that
time,
at
I
all.
think.
Yeah. That's
No, it's like
hilarious.
that's what people make fun of is the nipple suit
Mm.
because I think it becomes the symbol of how terrible that movie was. It's like
I completely
as
forgot
bad
about that.
as a decision of putting nipples on a bat suit was like every decision made in that movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but honestly, I didn't mind the nipple suit, and I really liked his gadgets in that movie.
Mm.
And then that Holy Rusted Metal Batman line really made me laugh.
Yeah, I think I mean there might have been some good qualities about it, but it just overall
I think
They
that's
were
one of the
terrible.
things. I think that's one of the things because it's a mediocre movie. It's not terrible,
They're terrible.
but when it's your
Well, no,
expectations versus
well,
reality.
yeah, because that's true. If they were like, if that was like the first Batman movie,
If you'd never seen a
it might
Batman
have
movie
been
before,
better. I might
yeah,
have been like, all right, this is cool. It's campy, but it's fun and whatever.
yeah.
And
Or if you're like you're a little kid, which is what honestly comic books are
well,
supposed to
that's
be
well,
for.
no, well, no, not depends on the comic book. Batman is very dark.
That's true,
A lot of
but
comic books are very dark.
but he is a character that is marketed to children.
Mm. Well, that's just bad, horrible marketing and capitalism. You know? I mean, that's just capitalism for you. I mean, that's why movies, stop being rated R so they can get more audience. That's why games do certain things too, because they want more
Yeah.
audience. They want to make more money, and it kind of
Yeah, but like
diminishes
if you're like
whatever.
a 7, 8-year-old kid and
But I
this is
remember
your first Batman, you're not gonna think,
I was
why are there nipples on his suit?
I was a young
You know?
kid when I was in Batman. Mom got me some of the comic books,
Yeah.
and I had those comic books on tape as well. Like that, it was so freaking
I
cool. I
love
loved
those.
them.
I didn't
Yeah.
have Batman. I had like Disney and
I forgot
He-Man.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of stuff like that. I completely forgot about that. We had a lot more. Um,
And Care Bears.
so well, yeah. So about those specific Batman, I think it was Batman and Robin and Batman Forever were those two movies, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I remember my first thought when I saw the trailer, I was like, they made these for like little baby children because you could tell by the way it looked. Everything looked far more plasticky. It was way more neon lit up and stuff. It was just like, what the hell have you
I actually
done?
didn't think that was a bad look. Like I liked it.
I hated it so much. Well, especially again, this was after we had already seen the dark version of Batman, and it's kind of why people like Snyder so much, and I like Snyder's as well. They did kind of. I felt like they did get worse, even though they were good. Like Batman Begins was really good because it was a nice comeback to like a new origin, new style, and everything was really cool. And then both sequels just got worse and worse because they got longer and slower and more boring. They were still good, they were really good, but they were also crappy. And the same thing happened with his Batman versus Superman and the Suicide or not Justice League. Which Joss Whedon is getting most of the blame for that movie sucking.
Which, if you look at his other movies, like it's not Joss's fault.
You have to know, like, yeah, like if you were actually familiar with his work, there's no way you could blame him for that crap. No. Either way, though, the movie does suck. Whedon's version sucks. I'm fine with saying that. I like Whedon. I know better. But I also remember like reading all the stories that came out before that movie. Like they constantly changed hands. Mm-hmm. Writers and directors. It was constantly like we were always seeing new headlines of such and such and such and such is taking over, and this person is no longer on it, and now this person's on it, and this person's not on it. It's
impossible to get a good movie out of that kind of.
They did the same thing with the Dark Tower, and they never ended up making a film for like 30 years. Oh. They kept directors would be like, all right, I'll do this, and then they'd get into it and they'd be like, never mind. Everybody did it every time. Everybody said there's no way I could make it worthy of,
it's
of
a
the
lot,
books.
yeah.
Well, especially if my favorite thing is, which is really funny, is because I always tell people this whenever I recommend that series. I'm like, the very first book is literally like chapter 1. Like, don't even think of it as a book by itself, because that whole thing is just introducing the two main characters, the good guy and the bad guy. And it's just literally him following him through a desert, and you get a lot of background story or whatever, and you get to know some characters. But it's really just introducing those main characters. It's just the one character, the other character, and then a tease of Jake, if you remember Jake the kid.
Oh yeah, he was your favorite, huh?
I don't think so. He might have been. I don't remember.
Oh no, Roland.
Was always my favorite. Yeah. But the whole gang, the quartet, Eddie and Susanna Dean. Oh, whoa. The psycho fucking girl.
I know you loved her.
And the wheelchair. Yeah. She's incredible. What a character, man. But yeah, no, the first book, though, and it's also the shortest one by far. Like every book after it gets double, triple, quadruple, like bigger.
It's like Harry Potter.
But no, the first book is so basic in comparison to the other ones, because the first one is basically like a really simple, cool Western. And then you get into time travel, world travel, like universe travel, parallel universe travel, like all kinds of crazy shit, so it's like that whole series is like literally every genre that has ever existed. It's romance, it's sci-fi, it's everything. It's such a trip. So I always think it's funny because I'm like I never thought of it that much before, but I don't know how they present them to directors, movie directors who want to try to do a show and stuff. Maybe they read the book and then the first, because you can't read the first book and try to make a series out of that. Like you
Yeah.
would have to know the whole series, and it's like I said, the first book is literally like chapter one.
But I mean, it's a very popular series. I can't imagine very many people haven't read it. You know,
Well, I'm sure there are plenty of people that
especially
haven't
somebody
read
who would be
it.
interested enough to make a TV show out
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
But I think a TV show would. I think a
A
TV
TV
show
show
works
makes far
better.
more sense.
I think TV
Yeah.
shows work better in terms of adapting books, like especially like
You have more time to work with. You don't have to shove it all into one thing, you know.
yeah. It just depends though, because like they tried to make the Dresden Files into a TV show, and that was so awful.
And still never watched that or read it. I've
Don't.
been meaning to read the comic book too.
You will never read the book. It's not a comic book. You'll never
They
read
have
the
a comic.
book if you watch the show first.
They have comic books.
They do?
They're probably based on the books
Oh.
or the show. I don't know. Yeah, they have comic
I
books.
didn't know there was comic
Mhm.
books.
I mean, I thought it looked cool though.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's
I mean, I thought the show looked good.
oh, the show, it does look good until you watch it. Because here's the thing, like the guy that they got to play Harry Dresden looks exactly like how you picture him in
Oh,
the book.
really?
It's
Damn.
exactly how he's described.
Wow.
And then you see him act.
Oh, really? That sucks.
Woof.
Yeah.
And the writing is just so awful.
Well, I mean, I've thought the same about Doctor Who, both acting, writing, and props.
Well, okay, so the difference is that Doctor Who is supposed to be campy.
Mm.
Like it's supposed to be a little cheesy. You're supposed to be able to like suspend your disbelief a little further than you would with most shows. But
I
like for me,
want to watch that show one day, but it's so hard to.
for me it was the doctors, they win me over. And every time they change a doctor, I'm like, who's this guy? And then or girl.
Mhm.
And then
Well,
like
they only had one girl so far.
a few episodes in, a few episodes in, you're like, all right, I
You
like
like
you.
it because the writing.
Because you
probably
realize
does
it's
it
the
too.
same doctor. Like they
Oh.
don't, just because they change the actor, the character's the same.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they actually got a new person in her, or like a new.
No, they don't get a new
new
it's the same character. Same.
So they just change actors because they have a new actor.
Yeah, I
That's
think it
interesting.
happened initially because the original actor couldn't do it anymore, so they
Mhm.
replaced him and they
Yeah.
made it a part of the show, and that became tradition.
Oh wow, that's actually
Yeah.
neat.
But it's
People threw a fit when a woman was taking over.
I know. That's
I was so excited. I was like, "Nah, I want to watch."
I know, right? And it would have been so great if Donna had been the first doctor. That they were setting that up for her to be the first doctor, and she would have been a great doctor. She was the British woman from The Office in the later seasons that came in and was super annoying.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
If you see her,
There's
again,
only 2 seasons, right? Of the UK one, isn't there? Of The
yeah,
Office?
I think it's
there's
one
only 2.
season.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought there was 2.
Yeah, I think there's only one.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's yeah, Doctor Who. Like, I mean, I guess it's a particular taste, but for me, it's like a Xena or a Hercules kind of
I
like.
forgot. You know, it's I loved those shows.
Yeah, but
And they're
you're not
terrible.
you're not
I
watching
never
them and
finished
going,
them.
yeah.
I never finished either one of them.
You know, they jump the
I got
shark at
sick
a
of
certain
them
point. Like
after-
they just get too soap opera-y
I
when
think
you go on
yeah,
them.
that's they did, yeah.
When
They were really fun, but then they
when
did.
Gabrielle
kinda
comes back
got
from the
stupid.
death, like for the third time, you're like, I just don't care if you die anymore. Like it just doesn't.
I don't even think I got that far. I think I never got past the first season of each of those shows.
Did I say Gabriola?
Maybe. But one thing I remember that was a part of that. I forget what they called it. It was like action something. It was like a series of different shows they had. Like there was Hercules, there was Xena, and there was one. I always forget what the name is now. I used to love it.
Cleopatra 2020?
No. It was a martial arts show where this dude played the violin. It's something Sun, I think. I can't remember what it was called, and it was the Vanishing Sun, maybe. I don't think that's it, but it was amazing.
I don't remember that.
I loved that friggin' show. That show, out of the whole, they had all these things because it was on like the station. The action. They had some. It was action something, right? It might have just been called action, but I think it was action something. And there was these. All the TV shows were in this bundle of like action shows or whatever. And I think actually, I'm gonna look it up real quick. I think it might have been the Vanishing Sun. Yeah, I think so. I think I probably wouldn't like it as much if I tried to watch it now. I don't know.
Is that Bruce Lee's son?
No, Brandon Lee. No, you know what? He does look at. Well, I think he looks more like Bruce Lee than Brandon Lee did. No, it's not Bruce Lee's son. No.
He looks vaguely familiar.
Right? I know. I think so too. But I always think I just recognize him from that show. But it was a cool ass show though, and I never finished that one either. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I don't remember why. I can't remember why. I can't remember.
It's Vanishing Son SON.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah, yeah. Did you not? Okay, yeah, my bad.
Oh, I wanted to rename. What were we watching last night? Doctor Strange. I wanted to rename that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Inception.
Crouching Tiger. I like that. Hidden Inception. How would you fit the Matrix into that?
It actually just reminded me more of those two movies.
Really?
Inception because the buildings and everything.
Yeah, but there's still a lot
And
of
then
Matrix-y stuff too.
Yeah, but because I think that I don't know which one came out first, but one probably influenced the other. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Matrix came out around the same time, right?
I was so glad you liked it.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
It was funny because I was sure you would because it really is that also has really good writing. Like they could have had all those cool special effects and all the amazing stuff, but if the writing sucked, it would have been just like okay, what it would have been like. What do we watch that other Marvel movie? We both fell asleep. Guardians of the Galaxy. And I remember I told Jesse that because like a lot of people love it, and I remember I didn't remember this until later because I couldn't remember why we didn't like it and why we were so bored and why we both fell asleep in the freaking theater watching it. And I remember we were talking about it and you reminded me it was the perfect thing is because we've seen it so many times. They literally do nothing different than any other thing we've ever seen. They just put makeup on the characters and that's it. And it's literally the same thing we've seen so many times.
Yeah.
So sure, it's entertaining. I thought it was entertaining.
If it's your first introduction to a superhero,
I think it would be
movie,
really good
then,
if it was the first time I'd ever seen something like that.
Yeah.
I'd probably be really impressed. But having seen it 100,000 times over, it's just like okay,
yeah,
like whatever. So I never ended up watching part 2 either.
I never watched part 2 either. But I think where they lost me was in part 1 when he's like they start out the movie with his mom dying. And I'm just like, oh, why? I don't know how long Mom had been dead by the time that movie came out, but it was still too new. Don't start a movie with watching the character's mom die of cancer. It's just fucked up. Fucking Disney.
Well, I don't think it was Disney when I think Disney bought it after that movie came out.
They like to do that too.
That's funny.
I was trying to watch the Troll movie.
Oh.
And just as soon as somebody dies, I'm like, I'm out. Just fucking, nah. Come up with something else.
I still eventually I've been wanting to get around to watching part 2 just because I'm curious about it, how it links to the other movie, and I imagine it might actually be better than the first one, or I might like it more.
Yeah,
because
I might like it more
it's
now
kind of like
too. Yeah.
At the moment, you like Iron Man 3 so far, and it's better than the first 2 movies by far. Just because it's newer and whatever. I don't know. That happens too. Sometimes it doesn't happen for everything. Like even the Avengers movies, like Age of Ultron was the second movie, and then since then I think there's been 3. It might have been only been 2. I forget. Do you remember the last one we watched? It was Age of Ultron, wasn't it? Or
that was the last Avengers one we watched.
Oh, so maybe there's just 4 of them. I don't remember, but Age of Ultron is my favorite in the entire Avengers series, and that's before the other 2 movies that have the newer stories, which are cool. But I liked everything in Age of Ultron. It was just everything flowed nicely, and it was just really well done. And then the ones after that are cool. I like them, but they got slower. There's a lot more boring parts in them.
You can't really afford that in a movie that's already 3 hours long. Like, just cut it
they're
out.
not 3, but they're 2.
They're
pretty
long.
They feel like 3-hour-long movies, yeah.
Well, because, I have a pretty good, inner timer for how long a movie should be, and sometimes I'm watching, I'm like, well, this should be coming up on the end, and they're just, they're nowhere near a resolution. And then, 45 minutes later, it's the credits roll. I'm like, oh, okay.
I talk about, it's funny, because it's... It's come up with for me a lot lately in video games the past couple years or few years or whatever, but Pacing has definitely impacted me a lot more than it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just like, dude, could you please just stop dragging out these dialogues, stop dragging out these stupid sections in the game, like.
Stop having the same conversation over and
And
over.
not just that, but yeah, that's yeah, and stupid conversations, like really pointless dialogue. And it always reminds me, it makes me think of it because I'm like, I get really bored of dialogue very quickly now. But I remember when I first ever playing like role playing games when there was a lot of talking, because I played like Mario Brothers and a lot of action games or
Mm-hmm.
platformers, and all you do is just run, jump, and whatever. And then I started playing role playing games, and there's a story to it. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to know the characters and all this stuff. So for a long time, I loved it.
Yeah.
And that's how I started with it. But now I'm just like, look, and it makes sense to me for younger people. Of course, they still have an audience of younger people that are never seen that and haven't been through it like a billion times like I
Yeah.
have. So I get that. I'm
Yeah.
just like, man, how come? I mean, like, I'm pretty old now and I've been gaming for this long. How come nobody has figured out how to properly pace this shit? Like, stop making me watch two people. I'm literally just watching two characters stare at each other and talk for 20 fucking minutes. It's like, dude.
You always have more tolerance for that when like you're new to a
Yeah,
genre.
yeah.
It's like
'Cause it's new territory.
I kept hearing how good the Lord of the Rings was, like the book. I mean, like before the movies came out.
I read that. I think I got like halfway through it. I might have finished the first one or the
Yeah,
Hobbit one. So boring.
so boring.
So freaking boring.
Because here's the thing, I had read so many fantasy novels by the time I finally got around.
Yeah.
Because every time you read an interview with a fantasy novelist, they're like, "Who were your influences? Who's your favorite?" And especially like
Tolkien.
back then, because this was like the '90s or whatever, the early 2000s, and so everybody's answer was always Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, because that's basically all they had growing up. But I had read all these books influenced by him, and
Margaret
so
Way's Tracy Hickman.
yeah, so they had kind of figured out how to get to the action quicker, to get to the heart quicker, and so when I tried reading Lord of the Rings, I was so goddamn bored. I was just like it wasn't enough that there were elves, because I'd already read elves doing more interesting things, So, that's something that happens is as a genre progresses, you get like a condensed or like what's the word? It's like a when there's a vocabulary around it, then you don't have to stop and explain every single thing that's happening and then have the action follow. It's like I talk about the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So the first few seasons, we've all seen so many romantic comedies. We're very familiar with what they're talking about. And the last couple of seasons, they start talking about actual mental illness and exploring that more. And because that's not something that we have really a vocabulary for in our current society,
Not
they
a
had
lot
to.
of shows that address it or whatever.
Yeah,
Not in detail.
it's a lot.
You always know when there's somebody's got issues, but they
Right.
never truly address it. It's just this thing.
It's often like very simplified or just anyway.
Like Back to the Future, Doc Brown was pretty messed up, and we never know really how deep it goes or whatever,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Which you don't need to, but I mean,
Yeah, but like so, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. The first couple of seasons, they're playing on jokes. They're making jokes on stuff that's already been established. In seasons 3 and 4, they have to establish it and then make jokes out of it. So the first couple of seasons are funnier than the second couple of seasons, because for the first couple of seasons they didn't have to establish a vocabulary and then build. They didn't have to build the entire language around the thing and then make jokes about
it
it.
makes me think of Dollhouse and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how the first few episodes are so boring. Not that the story isn't interesting, but they're just so slow. It's really slow. And then once you get past that, you're just like, whoa, you're on a roller coaster ride. It's amazing. It's this train of excitement and awesome.
Yeah. Except the only thing about like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that is there sorry. There was an Eddie Murphy movie. I think it was with It was either Owen Wilson or Chris Farley. I forget. But it was like one of these spy movies
I
where
like how you confuse Owen Wilson with Chris
I know.
Farley. I was one of those guys. It was probably Owen Wilson, but what was it?
So it was like a spy movie, and then it's like, okay, but I'm the spy, but I'm the spy for the other side, so I'm a double spy, and then it's like, well, I'm a triple spy, and then I'm like, because they have a gun
I
on each
remember that
other,
was
and they're
really
having that
stupid.
conversation,
Yeah.
and like Agents of Shield to me got to that level of silly, like so that's when I stopped watching.
There was that part. That was like I liked the whole within the evil within kind of that whole thing was really cool, but like it did there was like a couple episodes where it was kind of like just like come on man. Actually, it wasn't just a couple because it was a part of the story where it took too long for them to trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
So while it was understandable, it was dragged out. Yeah, I remember that.
But then also, as soon as you start to trust this guy, he turns out to be a bad guy.
Which one?
The blonde dude? I don't know, the main dude. The main boring guy.
Oh.
The only thing
He's
interesting
not
about him
blonde.
after a while is he not blonde?
No.
I don't remember what people
I
look
can't
like.
remember his name. He's such a dick. But he seemed like such a cool hero. Like, for a while, he was like Superman. He was like a Clark Kent Superman.
He was
like,
so boring.
Yeah, he was a Boy Scout.
And then he only became interesting once he became a bad guy.
Yeah.
And then, did he change back?
No. Oh, no. He pretended to, or some crap. I forget exactly.
See, this is where you lose me.
Well, it's because you weren't paying enough attention.
Whatever.
No, it's fine. But another thing for books specifically is oftentimes it depends. Even the good books there are times depending like where there's too much detail, especially in a row. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But like here, but here's the things like. You'll read... Okay, so Terry Pratchett, for instance, did not recommend anybody read the first couple of Discworld books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't recommend that you start at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, start towards the middle or the end, because I found a plot in the third book. Like, I figured out how to write a plot in the third book.
That I like. That is such a real, honest thing, because, like, what I've always wondered that, and I've always thought that, I'm like, you can't... It just makes sense to me that you can't... Even if you know where you want to start or where you're going or whatever, if it's your first time doing a certain thing, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
So you will get better as you go.
I remember when I first sat down to write one of my... She's a character that I still, like, I'm still working on her story. But I remember the first time I sat down and wrote, like, 40,000 words, I was like, how do you write this? Like, you know how it plays out in your mind, and you know exactly, you can see it exactly, but you don't know how to write it. Like, how do I describe this? How do I describe the room? When do I describe the room? You know, how do I describe the character? When do I describe them? When does it matter? Like, if you can't be halfway through the book and then describe the character, because people have already made up an image by this time.
It's funny because
But if you just start every book describing the character, then that's a boring fucking book. You know, a boring way to start a book, you know?
That's actually, you know what's funny is I started doing my my Dear Diary type thing, and I don't do it every day or anything. I do it when I don't know, it's like anytime I do anything when I really feel like doing it. But I started doing it, and I thought I might do it daily, but it's kind of like our chats when I asked you today if you might want to chat, but I was like, I don't know what to talk about, because everything that I've been thinking and feeling is still really bad. But which when we chat and hang out, I do feel better and stuff. Anyway, so I started doing my Dear Diary thing, and I remember because I learned for writing for gaming stuff and doing reviews and all that, and you were my biggest teacher for that. I learned a lot, and I remember I go back sometimes, and I see my really old stuff, like when I first started, and I could see how bad it was, like horrible.
Oh my God. What if for like a series of our podcast, or maybe just a different like series, I could read you my first 40,000 words that I ever wrote? It's so bad. It's so terrible. And it's so adorable. Like, just like, if you just like think of yourself as it would be embarrassing. It used to be embarrassing. And then I look at it and I'm just like, I was such a bad.
One thing I love about it though is seeing the progress and knowing the progress.
Yeah, the only difference is I don't have a modern day version. I just know that I could write it better now.
We've written so many things though.
I've started a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm not good at finishing things.
Oh yeah. So the reason I was thinking that is because I started doing my Dear Diary thing, and I thought it was because I've never done that before ever. I've heard of them, and it's usually girls that do it, right? That's how we've heard of it always in stories and whatever.
Patriarchal bullshit.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. I never thought of it that way. I never.
No, women diary, men journal.
Oh, yeah, that's yes. There you go. Yeah,
You're a
I
journalist.
forgot that journals.
Just remember that you're a journalist.
I forgot that journals was the.
You're
the
not a
manly name or
diarist.
whatever. No, so I started. It was funny because when I first thought about it, I was like, I want to just start putting my thoughts on paper, but I'm curious what I could do with it because I've done a tiny bit of poetry in the past as well, but I never learned how to do real poetry. I would just write shit and call it a poem, um, which I was fine with. Because that's the way I always saw poems, especially when I read them. I'm like, this is a bunch of nonsense. Like, I know it and I get it, but like, it's not like they're like a lot of them are. It's literally just words expressing feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, most of these don't rhyme. Like, I thought poems were supposed to rhyme most of the time. So like, you have this idea of something.
Man, I wish you could have like taken my creative writing class with me. My teacher, Professor Edelman, Bart Edelman. If you look him up, he's like an actual poet. He was so good at like telling you exactly what makes poetry good, and like you don't have to have things rhyme, but you do want to have some sort of rhythm to what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
In really good poems, there's like a theme. And it or stages of
themes
and
also because poetry is written to be spoken, like it's not written to be read. Like you're supposed to say it out loud. So there's a lot of tricks that are just audio tricks that you write down, and so the rhythm of reading a poem and stuff like that, like you pause at the end of the line, but you don't pause for 3 hours. You pause just like an extra break.
Because there's a break.
Yeah, just like you would at a comma. Like it's And then, like,
that's funny.
If you have the middles of words that sound similar, then that's a certain type of rhyme. I forget. I think it's consonants. Consonants, I think.
It's funny because, like, I don't know how often. I know that one of my habits of putting a comma somewhere in a sentence or whatever is not because I'm splitting the description or whatever. It's because that's where I want to pause.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I recognize that's not like where a comma is supposed to go, but I'm just like, well, I want to pause here.
I had to teach Madeline. I was like, it's one thought per sentence. If you're using more than 2 commas, just make sure that it's the same thought, because otherwise you probably can break that up into 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And I taught that to her after I learned it myself.
I like pausing. It's it's for effect.
Well, and there's an author that I'm reading right now. I just read all of her books on Amazon. Like in the past couple weeks, I found one and then I loved it and I just read all her other ones. And her name is Sarah Lynn, like on BoJack Horseman, except she's still alive, so that's good. Oh, spoilers. But but she does this thing at the beginning of a sentence, like if you start a sentence with something like therefore or because or whatever, not because, therefore or however or
although.
Once upon a time, there's always a comma. If you're starting a sentence in a particular way, there's always a comma, and she never puts a comma. She just keeps going with the sentence.
I like that though.
It's stylistic.
It drives me nuts. Like that comma after one word. I'm like,
but it's not after one word. It's after like the way that you start a sentence.
Yeah.
So one day, comma. Yeah,
I don't like that though because it makes sense to me.
At the fair,
one day
comma.
At the fair without the comma after one day. Like I know why it goes there. I'm glad to know that you know a writer who just doesn't care. And
oh my god, it's so distracting. It's so distracting though. When you're expecting it, you don't see it every time. Every time it's not there, you see it.
That's so funny.
It's so frustrating, but I mean, she's such a good writer that it doesn't matter.
It sounds like a writer I'd want to read.
She's really good.
That always bugs me.
She's the one that that's the book that I was reading. It was the gamer. Oh, so it's
New Game Minus or whatever.
Yeah, it's like this sorcerer who dies and he uses his magic wand right when he's dying to switch bodies with the gamer, and then he wakes up and he's got all these boxes around him. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" And so he figures out that he's in a game, and then so that was the first book that I read by her, and now I've read all of her books on Amazon. There's like, I want to say like close to 10. So like 6 to 8 maybe, like books that are on Amazon. I've read them all now. I just finished the last one like a couple days ago.
Oh, so the reason I brought that, I forgot. When I was starting to write my Dear Diary thing or whatever, I thought it was odd because like I wasn't expecting to have this thought, but it happened like right when I was gonna do it. I already knew in my mind like I just want to write down what I'm thinking, because there's a lot of stuff that goes through my head, and sometimes I wish I had saved it. Man.
Well, especially like I'll look at like old diary entries and stuff, and because usually I just cringe too much, and I'll just want to throw them away. So I try not to read old stuff, because then I know if I read it, I'm gonna want to throw it away. Because I'm always like, I'm just gonna get real honest and write down what I really think, and then what you think changes and how you feel changes, and like so I'll be like, oh God, I completely forgot I felt this way.
What I want to do, in a, in a way, it's kind of what is the normal way that I already kind of naturally am, is just unfiltered. That's the way I am, anyways. But because of things, I've learned to try to filter myself a little bit, tried to. Sometimes I'm just like, but why, like. But anyway, no. So I started writing that stuff, and when I first was getting into it, like I was like, how am I gonna write it? How do I format it? And I was like, duh, just write exactly what I'm thinking in my mind. And sometimes I pause for a second, like after I'm writing something, and I'm like, because I know there's more to it, and I'm thinking like, well, what else can I add to this? And then in the middle of my thought process while I'm writing stuff, I'm like, I gotta remember to just write this down as I'm thinking it. Instead of trying to format it like I'm writing a book, because I'm not. Like, so it gets a little weird sometimes. Like, so sometimes I'll pause after like something I wrote, and then I'll continue my thinking without writing it, and I'll be like, oh wait, I need to write all that stuff down that I was just thinking a second ago, and then
I'll you try to capture it, and it's impossible.
Well, no, I do get it, but it's you have to catch it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do that all the time.
It's kind of like a river. It's like it's the same river, but it's not the same river. You know what I mean? Like it's constantly
doesn't
changing.
Stop. Yeah. I tell people all the time. Well, I've told people in the past I don't talk to people anymore. But I'm like the thoughts that go through it never stops. And it's never like one thing. It's not always like, if I'm constantly depressed or sad or angry or whatever, that's not all it is.
Yeah.
There's so much. It never stops. I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do I keep a thought in my head? Kind of like.
You know what helped me when I was doing stand-up was like, I finally stopped feeling defensive about being fat, and I stopped feeling defensive about missing mom.
Well, I'm going to ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
Do you want to start a new episode with that topic?
No.
Okay. Well, I meant like right now. I'd end this one.
No, we'll just let this be kind of a finish.
Okay.
Guess. We can probably finish in about.
Well, I was just curious. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Sorry.
How far are we?
The only reason I interrupted you is because I know your memory is better than mine. If you interrupt me, I'll forget exactly what I was just.
Yeah, I think we're almost done.
Okay. No, we're a little over an hour right now. We're just over an hour.
We'll probably be done like by an hour 30.
Yeah. So no, that's why I was curious, because I wouldn't mind sitting here for another hour or two or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Not tonight.
Do you want to continue watching Iron Man though?
No.
Oh, you bastard.
I know. I want to like take a shower and do another little laundry and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. So I forget what I interrupted with, and I should have remembered it. Oh, something about being fat.
Oh, so doing stand-up. Like, actually talking about it and defending myself and being like, this is how I feel, and you don't have to feel the same way, but I'm allowed to feel how I feel. Like, you can think about it however you want to, but this is how I think about it. And I'm not wrong just because I'm not the same as you.
I don't remember if we even recorded this, but I remember oh no, we didn't. And we had a chat the other day. We sat down and had a chat, and we didn't record it because we weren't sure, right? Anyways, we were just hanging out, doing a normal thing. And during that chat, we talked something about how people make fun of this, but people do have their own truths.
Yeah. We all see the world in a slightly we what we call a shared reality, what we call reality is just what we have as a group agreed on is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then some people believe in things that most people don't agree on, and so then that's what becomes a belief instead of
Well,
reality.
well, there's also your living experience will teach you something different than somebody else's living experience.
Yeah,
So unless you've literally lived in each other's shoes in that sense,
right. And there's stuff people told me when I was younger that I just until I was able until I had enough experience, I didn't understand what they were talking
yeah.
about. And so that's kind of like anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But for me, like just being able to explore a topic that was like being fat is not who I see myself as, right? That's not who I am. It's just what I look
It's
like.
what you, yeah.
It's how this is how I'm presented to the world. This is the body I'm walking around
Yeah.
in. It's
It's
like
not who you are.
it's like the alien in Men in Black that's living in the guy's brain and he has the
Mm-hmm.
little
Love
controller.
that character.
Yeah, like I'm the little guy in the brain, and then this is the body I'm walking around in.
See, we kind of got a little bit into this similar discussion when we were talking about gender.
Yeah,
Like, you are not your sex. That's not who you are. That's what you are, you know?
yeah. I think that so maybe the best way to describe a transgender person is they've been presenting to the world a body that doesn't match how they feel on the inside. So they want their little alien to match their big alien.
You know, I've been actually thinking about watching. I haven't watched those movies in a million years. You know, I've been wanting to rewatch them. Did you ever see the newest one?
Oh, with the girl?
Yeah,
No, I
it's
haven't seen
good.
it. Is
It's
it?
actually really good. Yeah, I loved it. I think other people didn't like it. I
I
can't.
like that girl.
I think it
So
didn't have a good reputation. I forget.
I heard it wasn't good, but
Yeah,
I don't know
I
why.
loved it.
Good.
It was easily the best one
Okay.
for me, anyways. Like, I loved it. I think people just they miss Will Smith and what's his face. What
Tommy
is his-
Jones.
Yeah, there you
Tommy
go.
Lee
Yeah.
Jones.
And I loved them too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Oh,
I
good.
loved it. Yeah, I thought it was freaking. It was my favorite.
Oh, good. Okay.
I always think it's weird because people have such a hard time. And I've gone through this as well. I forget with what, like off the top of my head, but it's been a while. Like, and now it's far more easy for me to accept a sequel that has nothing to do with the first one. In a way, like I just if I don't know. I'm just more used to it, I guess, or more willing to just accept it for what it is. And I had to learn that with the X-Men movies and Resident Evil movies. And
Yeah.
the only reason I learned that was because I remember there's like many things when I first watched, the first Resident Evil movie.
You were so mad.
I was I was just like,
Me and Mom were like, it was good. You're like, it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
I was so insulted.
Why would they even make
I
that?
was so insulted. I
You
was
were.
so deeply insulted by how shit that movie was. And it was the same thing with the X-Men movies. Same thing. I was just like, you pieces of shit, like I'm just super angry, just
I
super
know.
like, what the hell? You've ruined this. But eventually, especially specifically with Resident Evil, I can't remember why. I think I had seen it probably the fourth movie or the fifth one. It might have been the third one, but I think 4, 5, and 6 I liked them more. But I remember when I saw a trailer for it, I was like, "Oh, that actually looks really cool." But I think at this point, and especially because of you, this was after X-Men as well, because you loved X-Men.
I did.
Yeah, and I was like,
I remember we were sitting down to watch it, and I was like, "Did you like it?" Because I knew that you liked the comic book and the cartoon, and I was like, "So if you liked it, then I would like it." But you were like, "It was all right. It's all right." And then I really liked it, and you were like, "You did?" You were like, "It's nothing like the comic books."
And so that, yeah, and that was kind of, I didn't realize it right then. It took me a while to start looking at things and being like, well, it makes sense that someone who isn't familiar with that content would would like it more than somebody who is familiar with it and see how ruined it was, you know.
For me, like if I watch a movie that's based on a book, I can't read the book right before.
Yeah.
Because it's too fresh in my mind. Like I had to have read it like a couple years ago, where I've forgotten most of the details.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just be sitting there pissed. Like I had just
Yeah.
rewatched. So they made a Terry Pratchett Discworld book called Going Postal, which is my favorite Terry Pratchett book. One of my top like 5.
I remember liking the movie.
I know you did. I was furious.
Yeah.
I was incensed.
Yeah.
Like they did a good job with Hogfather, but A, that's not one of my favorite Terry Pratchett books. But also B, like they took like 6 hours to make it. So it wasn't an hour and a half movie
or whatever, yeah.
But they also didn't try to make it like every other movie I've ever seen before. Oh my god, I can't think about it. So the point was of like doing stand up is like I got to explore certain topics to the point where I didn't have anything more to say about them. Like, so in terms of like doing a diary, I feel like if you say something, if you talk about something enough, then it's not inside anymore. Like you got to say it outside of your body, you know? And so it's no longer taking up so much of your energy. I feel like for me, like walking around being fat and being okay with being fat, but knowing that other people aren't okay with me being fat, like I had feelings and thoughts about that I didn't feel like I had a right or a chance to express. And so sorry, I just got distracted right when I was talking. But when I was able to, because I did stand up for like 3 years, and I got to talk about being fat every time I was on stage, because I just walk up and be like, "I'm fat. Yes, this is me. Hello." And sometimes that would be the only fat thing I would say, but it's like, this is what I look like. Here we go. Let's talk about stuff, you know. And so I don't think I ever said that on stage, but you know, like that's how I would start. It's like, you know, like Jackie Cation, she's not fat, but she's like a little chunky. But she'd get on stage, she'd be like, "This is what I look like. This is the last time I'll be addressing it. We're gonna be talking about other things." That's what she'd say as soon as she got on stage, and she said it like not every time, but definitely anytime she was doing like an important set, because she wanted people to focus on. You have to address the things that people notice about you. If you have a weird voice, if you have big ears or whatever, like you have to address that so that people can stop focusing on. Like, does she know?
I think that's fun to address too.
Yeah, because people don't know that I know that I'm fat. Like that's their first concern is, oh, she must not know, otherwise she wouldn't be like that.
Well, see, one thing that, I mean, it depends. This is something I learned when I was pretty young, because I was very open about talking to anybody about anything. You know, one thing that I think is interesting and weird is I remember being known by everybody I knew as being a good listener.
Oh.
And I haven't been like that in a long time. But I'm also not in the same position.
Yeah.
You don't have people coming to me and talking to me about whatever, and it's also, everything's so different now. But anyways, one of the things I had learned, because I would also just talk to people, and I think the reason people thought I was a good listener, and they were able to come to me. I'm guessing this. I'm guessing it's the only thing that makes sense to me is that I'm just honest with people. You know, when I speak, I wouldn't just interrupt them and stuff. You know, I would just, when I speak, I'm just honest. But one of the things I learned while being honest is that getting it off my chest does not help at all. I can only remember one single time where I felt that way.
I think how the things that you say are received is really important, which is why, because I had tried talking about mom out off a stage before, but I always get interrupted or corrected. And being on stage,
Like,
man,
you shouldn't miss your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah.
Do
you know how sad your mom would be if she looked down from heaven and saw you crying?
That is so horrible.
You're ruining her heavenly experience. How fucking dare you? Be sad.
So messed up, man.
It's like, I would imagine if I was looking down from heaven and nobody was sad that I was gone, I'd be like, what the fuck was I there for?
What? Oh, that's a I don't know. That's
Better be sad when I die. God damn it.
no. I mean, another the no. Like, I've thought this is funny because it's come doesn't we don't I don't talk about it a lot with anybody, but like one of the conversations or things I've heard is that like you know people like to think of stuff like, well, they're looking down on me, they're proud of me, that kind of stuff. But even if they were, it'd be very brief because they're freaking happy. They're in another
They're
universe,
doing shit.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not
They're not
thinking
gonna
about
just
us.
spend their whole time in heaven wondering how you're doing.
I would
Like,
imagine if I was in heaven and I thought about the people on Earth, I would think, well, they'll be here soon enough. Right? Like, because time, like,
yeah.
no
No
time
matter
is,
what it is,
when you have infinity ahead of you,
I would never imagine
what's a
like,
few years,
Mom spending her whole time in heaven or any time at all looking down on us. Like
I would
whatever.
hope not, especially like, I mean, you gotta choose your moment, sometimes we're doing stuff.
Well, I mean, sometimes I'll when I pray, I'll say, yeah, my mom for me, whatever, something like that, whatever, and then Brian too, But yeah,
I just talk to them directly. I don't know if they can hear me or not. I assume they can't, but I just would rather just talk to them.
I've thought of that too, but well, I think I have a little bit in the past, but mostly I stick to I don't know, whatever.
That reminds me, I want to tell my suicide story, but not right now. We're gonna tease this for a few episodes, and then we'll finally get to it.
No, so
It's a good story. I tried doing it on stage, but people would get too sad. I don't know why. Like,
I don't know why. Why would people get sad about a suicide story?
Liz was one of my best supporters. She
Liz-
just loved.
She's the super hot comedian, right?
Yeah, from
The
Malibu.
super hot blonde girl.
Yeah.
She's cool. I like her.
She looks like Elizabeth. What's her name from Bewitched? The main character from Bewitched.
I can't. It's been a million years since I've watched
cool.
it, and I never regularly watched Bewitched. Or do you mean the new one?
No, the old one.
Okay. I just know she's really pretty.
What's her name? Elizabeth Montgomery. To me, she looks exactly like Elizabeth Montgomery.
Oh, maybe a little. I wouldn't say exactly. Resemblance or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, but younger, obviously.
I loved her show, man.
She was so funny, right?
I loved that.
Oh,
show.
you didn't even get to see
I always
like
want to see more of her, but
her show changed. Like it changed
really?
over the weeks that we were doing it. So
yeah.
you didn't even see it when it was like full tennis player and like in her
you told me,
bedroom. That was so
you told me.
silly. Oh my god, it was so silly.
But I loved her show, and I definitely would love to see her more.
Yeah, she I think she has family in Illinois. She's planning on being there in June. So I said, you have to come visit me. I assumed we'd be there by June. So.
Does she does she do like clips and does she put stuff on YouTube or whatever?
No, not really. She's not like an online person. She likes being in person with people.
No, I would too if I had a reason to be out with people.
Yeah, but the Everest story was
I
really
missed that.
good. Yeah. The first time
She
she told the full story, it made me cry and laugh so hard. She's a really good story.
It's amazing. Yeah. I
But
forgot-
getting
I
her to
actually
the
forgot
point
about
where
that.
she actually was just like, no, I'm going to spend the full hour and a half just talking. Like getting her to that point took like almost the full 2 weeks. I think it was the last 3 shows that she even did it like that.
I'm pretty sure I cried there on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing though.
Yeah.
It was really amazing.
What's
What's her name? Liz something?
yeah, Liz Klingel.
Liz Klingel?
Yeah. Or Klingel.
You want to be fancy.
Klingel. But yeah, so she's cool. What were you talking about?
I don't know. Stand-up comedy, a lot of stuff. We mostly talk about movies and books.
Oh yeah, so we were like talking about creative stuff. I guess this is a good place to stop for right now.
I did say, yeah, like how I thought it was funny and weird how I was doing a Dear Diary and I trying to figure out how to write it. Like I start like because every time I would go, I'd be like, I just need to write exactly what I'm thinking, write down. So I do that, but I get stuck. I don't know, it's fun, it's interesting. So I actually wrote like a couple poems, what I would call poems, but they're not, poems. It's just
I can fix them for you.
Oh no, I don't want to fix them.
Good.
I don't care. I'm not. They're 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 not like whatever. I don't advertise them or anything. I don't advertise. You know what's funny? Like I've shared my diary posts, but I don't advertise them.
Yeah.
I just like post a link,
Yeah.
and if somebody clicks on it, man, there you go. Nobody clicks on it.
I clicked on the
one I tagged you in.
Yeah.
I thought.
Huh?
I thought the way I ended it was hilarious. It makes me laugh every time I think about it.
Oh, I didn't read the whole thing. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I will probably go back and read it, but I wasn't on the mood for it at the time.
Yeah. Well, no, it also starts off kind of aggressive, I think.
It's a little aggressive, yes.
Yeah, but I don't care. It also ends aggressively. I love my final line. It's hilarious. It's like, so anyways, stop blaming God. You sound like an idiot.
That's kind of how you started it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the topic was mainly about. It's called blaming God. I mean, I don't normally name a post like that. Like my diary posts have been like, "Dear no one, number one." I said when I first started writing them, I wasn't sure what I'd call them and stuff, and I just started calling them "Dear no one." It's not Dear Diary, it's Dear No One. Well, to me, it's the same thing, right? But I thought I'd put like a little fun because I like putting Dear No One because I know no one's gonna read it anyways.
Yeah. When I would post on Craigslist anonymously, I would write "Dear Void."
Yeah, see, that's cool shit. I like No One. Void makes a lot of sense. That's something I would normally do, but I actually want to call somebody No One.
You're nobody to
fun.
me.
No, it's just to me because that to me it makes me laugh in my head, you know. So no, I thought about like giving them titles and stuff at first. I think I had done something, and then I just changed it to Dear No One number 1 through whatever, you know. But then when I did the Blaming God one, I was like, this one's a bit more specific because whatever. It was just a little different. So I wrote it differently than like I would write the Dear No One.
Dear idiots.
No, but so no, I reread it. I wasn't planning to, but I went back and reread it. I was like, oh yeah, this would probably be hard for somebody that doesn't believe to read, you know. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, it just felt like you were talking to yourself more than to anybody
Pretty much.
else, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it still is kind of a Dear No One.
Yeah.
But in case that was just different because it's something that I've thought for years.
Yeah. Well, so that's like what I'm talking about. Is like you get it out, and then like nobody's interrupting you, and you get to like figure out what you want to say and how you want to say it. That's what I liked about stand up. But also, what I really loved was that it's your turn to talk. You know. It's like, you have a microphone, you're on the stage, and I don't love a ton of attention, like, it was so uncomfortable, but, like, there's some power to it, too. Like, it's heady to be up there, and, like, they all have to listen to you because you're the loudest person in the room, and you're the one in the spotlight. Like,
well, you better be good then.
Nah.
Nah.
I
thought
don't.
You were good. You were very funny.
Well, you only saw me at shows. You didn't see me like on mics and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I also have always laughed at stuff you say in regular life all the time. So.
Well, that's because I'm fucking.
You are. I know. That's what I'm saying.
All right, we can wrap this up. Yeah.
No.
I couldn't get you to talk to me for like a month,
just,
and now you don't want to end the podcast.
You couldn't get me to. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the month you were gone? What are you talking about?
I've been back a month.
Yeah. Well, I've been asking you to watch a movie all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you've never said you want to have a chat or whatever.
That's true. Plus, I was sleeping most of the time.
So you have not tried to be getting me to...
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna do the song, the outro song, whether you like it or not. That's what we're calling the song now.
Whether you like it or not.
Thank you.
I love the title of the intro and outro. The title of this song is Whether You Like It or Not.
Thank you for listening to the Poor Rikes. We talk about all kinds of things, usually dark shit. Thank you for joining us. The Poor Rikes. Da 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 da. Poor